Welcome, Veritas family. Thank you so much for joining us here at Give and Take. I'm Sherry Davis, and I am joined here today by Dr. Erik McKay. Hey, Erik, how are ya?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
We're glad that you could be here today and join us. If you're watching this live or in replay, be sure to let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. These are Past the Tassel editions where we are chatting with the class of 2026. Erik has been on before, so he is a repeat offender, but we're going to dive right in. Hey, Erik, tell us where you're located and what you do at your ministry.
Yes, I am in Rosemont, Minnesota. It's a suburb of the Twin Cities. And I am the middle school principal and athletic director at First Baptist School in Rosemont.
Okay, very good. And how long have you been there at that position?
I've been here for 2 years now.
Okay, very
So,
good.
yep.
Very good. Tell us what made you jump into a degree at Veritas? What was your connection?
Well, for me, I had done my master's and I was teaching at the time for Veritas, and Brother Lester had brought me the opportunity to further my education with the DMin program. I was part of that first. I think Frederick was on not that long ago,
Hmm.
but we were all part of that first cohort to go through. We were the guinea pigs, as
That's
Brother
right.
Wagner would often call us. So that was fun. So he got me into that program, and I'm very thankful for that.
Okay, great. And how long did it take you to go through the process of being a doctoral program?
Yeah, so it was about, I think it was 2 years, 2 full years that basically it took. So,
And when you submitted that last or you defended your dissertation, how big of a relief was that?
I mean, my wife took a picture of me when I was after I finished defending, and they came in and said I passed. I think it was the biggest smile I've ever had on my face. It definitely was so difficult, but
Yeah.
so worth it. So,
Yeah, I'm sure you stand a little taller with the weight lifted from 2 years of just continuous work. Yeah.
yes,
I love to
definitely.
hear that you guys, that first class was the guinea pigs because that's
Yep,
probably more true. That's like their firstborn. They have to be real resilient because everybody's
yes,
learning with them.
definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
that's good. I think I know the answer to this, but who was your biggest supporter during your time and your doctoral program?
Yeah, definitely my wife. We had a lot of transition that happened during my doctoral program.
Mm.
I know everyone has their different stories, but we moved from Florida to Minnesota, so that was a big
Yeah.
change right in the middle of it. I think that was right after year one. I changed jobs, so like getting into a couple times, and I got in back, and I'm actually back in the ministry I first started, and I served as a youth pastor for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So I guess technically I've been here 12 years,
Okay.
but anyways, and then my dad actually got sick and ended up passing away literally around the same time that my last paper was due, as well as the defense.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had all that going on, and my wife was right there along with me. I remember still there was a point in my time where she was one of my proofreaders, and I had to put in a lot more time at the end to try to write my paper and make some corrections. And we went up to a cabin and just really spent a week. I would type portions of it, she would proofread it, I would make corrections, and
Oh, wow.
thankfully we made it through. So
What a great support she was for you. Wow, that's really great. We've heard from a number of especially our doctoral students because it is such an intense program as any doctoral program is, but they have been supported so well by their families because their
mm,
families are so excited to help them reach these goals. And I know there's great sacrifice. It comes with great sacrifice from family and time and resources and money and all the things. But we're so grateful to hear that you finished your goal and that your family is supporting you and cheering you along. And
right.
I know that you won't be able to make it to the graduation ceremony, but we'll be celebrating with you from afar. So we're proud of
Amen.
you guys. Yeah, that's
Amen.
great. Tell us about how Veritas has helped you in your ministry. I know that since you came from a master's program, not a lot of this information is not necessarily new or the connection is
Right.
not new, but what do you think has been the best connection in your doctoral program?
I think it's just challenged me in my writing. And just from, I'm not writing academically now, but just the fact of just paying more attention to what I'm saying, whether it's an email, a
Mm,
text, whether it's writing curriculum for a class I teach in the high school,
yeah.
just opportunities I get to write, whether it's on a blog post or this or that. And just they always encourage us from day one, Brother Lester to Brother Wagner to Brother Edmonds, to just put it out there. I think sometimes we think we have to be perfect in our
Yeah.
writing, and
Mhm.
so I think, obviously they help make our writing a lot better.
Yeah.
But it just getting it out there, we have things that we need. We may say we may be fearful of that, but that was a blessing and a challenge to me. It's just get out what God has laid on your heart.
Yeah, and I think that's somewhat freeing for, especially for those who struggle with perfectionism, when it's
Yep.
just paralyzing because you're just not totally sure it's exactly right. And that's probably true. But
Yeah.
being able to get it out there and to have the back and forth about those things that are being
Right.
laid on your heart, it's just take the next step. That's really
Right.
great. And I was just talking with some of the other doctoral students, and they had something similar to say in that going through the doctoral program still as an instructor with day school kids, it gave them a new perspective of things that are laid on their plate. Schedules are
Yeah.
busy, and it give you you can be sensitive toward that as you are now having jumped into another degree.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's good. Tell me, I think you mentioned a couple of these instructors already, but what teachers inspired you during your program?
Yeah, I think for the doctoral program, it's a lot different than the other programs
Sure.
in that, like, you have people that walk with you through it from day one. And
Yeah.
for me, that's Brother Wagner. And I know that he's been mentioned before, but
Yeah.
just one thing that's been impressive to me is all my teachers were great, but he is one that has even reached out to me after I
Mhm.
graduated. And I'm just very thankful for that.
Yeah.
He walked through some of the difficult times, that I had,
Yeah.
especially with the things I was going through. So not just making it about the education, but he saw us as people, and I'm very thankful for that and the ministry that he had in my life.
I'm glad that you brought that up because we all know and love Dr. Wagner, and he's been
Yeah,
with Veritas for decades now. And that is what we get to hear about him the most, is that he reaches out, he genuinely loves, and he genuinely cares on a personal level, not just academically. But not only him,
right.
it is the hallmark of our faculty.
Amen.
I know that you have connections with other of our faculty,
Hmm.
and I know you personally, as an instructor, do that with your students. You
Yes.
take it intentionally and seriously to reach out to them because you know how much it means to you. And it
Amen.
is something that we love about Veritas and that we get to hear often, and we're grateful for that and for those who take the time, to really learn people and their situations. And I know for you, your situation that you were going through toward the end of your program with your dad being sick, boy, kudos for finishing. There's a lot
Right.
of people that would have just said, this is too much. And that's true. And it would have been
Yeah.
okay. We would have
Right.
understood.
Right.
But I mean, just nose to the grindstone and doing the thing and getting it over with. I know you were proud of yourself to get that done.
Yeah, it was definitely a blessing. So
And
I'm
I know
thankful
that
for
you're
everyone.
glad. Yeah, I know that you're glad to have that support from your faculty and from your family as well.
Yeah.
Tell us what advice you would give to the students who are still in the trenches, those who are just plugging it out,
Yeah.
just tired of being not seeing the end of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Like, I mean, I think you kind of mentioned it, like, and everyone's story is different, like I mentioned, but just don't quit.
Mm.
I mean, I know there's a lot of things outside that are going to pull. We have family, we
Yeah,
have, our ministry, potential outside job, even as I teach, there's people, and that bring up stories to me. And I'm like, I've been able to use my story to encourage them,
that's right.
and just really push through. Like, it will be worth it. And it's just such a blessing, when you are able to work through those trials and the things that happen in your life, and trust God and lean on your instructors, lean on, like, that's the cool part about Veritas is it's not just about, they're not just instructors. And that's why I try to say in my classes as well. Like, I don't want to just be your youth instructor or counseling. Like, I'm a ministry co-laborer. We're
Yeah,
here to work together. Call me and we can pray.
that's good.
Different things like that. Lean on your instructors. Lean on your cohort. The especially Matt and Phil. They were in my cohort as well. There's many times we would just text to pray about different things.
That's
So
good.
even though we're online, utilize your people within your program. Talk to them. They're going through it with you, and they may have some good advice for you. So they were a blessing.
Yeah, that's a great tip because sometimes there is this idea of, oh, I don't know that they want to hear from me, or I don't want to be a burden to them, so I'm just not going to let on that I'm struggling with something. But
Hmm.
you're proof in the pudding there, just do
Yeah.
it because they want to hear from you. They genuinely want to be able to pray for you intelligently and reaching out to your cohort. I mean, they're they're going through it with you. They know exactly
Yes,
what you're feeling. They're going to say, I
absolutely.
completely understand. Yeah, that's really good advice. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. What are you saying to somebody who may not be a Veritas student, but maybe should be? Maybe the
Yeah.
Lord is tugging on their heart a little bit and they're a little reticent. What are you going to say to somebody who is on the fence?
Just make the decision, just do it. Like for me it was, you can look at all the times, well, later I'll do it. Well, you're going to be busy all the time, and the
That's right.
greatest part about Veritas is just the opportunity that you get to be where you're at, serve in your local church, go on date nights with your wife when you want
Mhm.
to, those types of things, and take your classes when you have different times. I loved, sometimes I was getting up earlier in the morning knocking out my work, sometimes I'd stay up a little bit later, but you can do it. And I think it's one of the easiest ways to do it. And I would just say, make the decision to do it and just go for it.
I love it. I love it. Just go for it. That's the shirt. Like just do it or
Yeah,
just go for it,
yeah,
just
definitely.
jump in there. I am so thankful that you have carved out some time to be with us today, Eric. And those of you who are watching, if we can help you jump into your academic journey, we would love to do it. It is our passion. Like Eric was saying, we as faculty and as a team genuinely love to be a part of the folks that come through Veritas. We
Amen.
get to have a small part in God's calling in your life. So please don't hesitate if you are feeling called to jump into classes. Maybe you need to level up. Maybe you're in the master's program and need to jump into doctoral. Maybe you're in the undergrad and you need to jump into a graduate program. We're here for it. We want to take your call. We are eager to hear from you. So reach out to us. We love to help you. Thanks, Eric. Thanks for popping
Yeah,
in today.
yeah. Thank you.
And for those of you watching, we'll see you next time.